What prompted you to join the Marines after working at the hospital and trying to avoid being drafted?
The reason I joined the Marine Corps Reserves was because I and a few other friends who were being drafted uh, searched other services to see if we could perhaps uh, join the Navy or the Air Force or something. Uh, we did apply to the Coast Guard, and one of the questions on the Coast Guard application uh, was, "What is your physical condition?" And the answers were fair, average, good, excellent. So I marked good, and because I thought I was in good physical condition. Well, they wouldn't accept me because I didn't write excellent. So that was kind of a disappointment. Well, time was running out, and we were able to enroll and join the Marine Corps Reserves on a buddy plan. There were two of us that did this. And we went to Parris Island, South Carolina, to basic training. Um, and we knew we were going to end up in Vietnam because they were activating reserve troops all over the country at that time. And we were ready to serve our country. We knew the time had come. And I was injured in basic training, and I was given an honorable discharge. My friend RJ went into uh, the reserve unit in Cleveland, and shortly thereafter was activated to Vietnam. Um, I am still friends with RJ. He survived his ordeal, as I might say. Um, but I never felt that I should have gone or that I shouldn't have gone. I didn't want the war, but in the same sense, I've identified all my life with people who sacrificed, and I respect them and what they've done. And the same for the people that are there now and the wars and the conflicts that we have today. Um, I don't think killing someone solves a problem. And I think wars are political. I don't particularly trust politicians. Um, as you know, our troops are sitting there being shot at and being killed and being blown up. They're sitting in cocktail lounges enjoying their steak dinners and their social life.
What got you discharged? Like, what injured you in basic training?
I was in a platoon in Parris Island, and at that time in 1967, the fall of 1967, there were many government investigations and inquiries into the brutality in the basic training of the Marine Corps, specifically in Parris Island, South Carolina. Many recruits were seriously injured, many were crippled, many were discharged for various reasons, primarily because the drill instructors were just uh, very vicious people. Um, that may have been a result of the fact that they were probably in Vietnam before they came back to become drill instructors. I was injured. I broke my tailbone, um, and I spent 3 months in the hospital platoon. And then because I was a reservist, your reserve time is 6 months. Normally, if I were in the regular Marines, they would have just let that injury heal and then sent me back to a platoon. But because the 6 month training period was up and they had to let me leave, they discharged me. They gave me a choice of staying in the Marine Corps and being able to utilize VA benefits for the rest of my life if I had any need, or to get completely out. And I said, have a nice day, I'm out. And that was what happened.
Did any of the events of World War II affect your life as a child?
I don't think World War II actually affected my life as a child. My parents may have had, or specifically my dad may have had some memories which he never talked about, as he was the youngest of many children, and many of his brothers and sisters who were older than him stayed in Europe and stayed where the Nazi regime took over. But I never heard about that in my lifetime. Uh, my family never talked about that. but it's um, something that you never forget. But it didn't affect my life as an individual.
How did the baby boom affect your childhood?
I am not a baby boomer. However, I'm close to being a baby boomer. It's just a matter of a couple of years. But I identify with being a boomer. I think boomers have changed the course of the world for the better. Um, the early days of the hippies, which were part of the 60s, uh, was something I was really not part of. Uh, but the music and the arts which came from that time period uh, affected my life and brought good memories. Being a baby boomer, if I wanted to identify with that, I would say that many boomers, of course, went into business and became very successful people. Many became scholars uh, are very successful with respect to academia and medicine and I think that was a great part of growing up in this generation. As far as being in business for myself most of my life, I think that is a result of having a boomer type mentality, whereas I knew better than others. Uh, but I think being identified with a boomer is a positive and not a negative.
What kinds of racial inequality did you experience growing up?
Racial inequality growing up in my little town of Mayfield was there. I was uh, called names by many people, things that they learned from their parents as opposed to searching their own souls as to what they thought of other people. Uh, I survived that. I had some run-ins as a child, which none of which were traumatic or life threatening or life lasting memories. Um, I think that I live by a philosophy that don't do something that you want to see on the front pages of the newspaper tomorrow morning. Uh, you should live by caring and not by being influenced by other people. Do what's right and not necessarily what everybody else wants to do.
Why did they pick on you specifically?
I think religion was a reason why people picked on me. The ignorance from many families at that time, not understanding that uh, people are really all the same, caused some of the conflicts with mostly the younger people my age, name calling sometimes conflict, physical conflict with people uh, took place. But uh, I just always felt that not really looking for trouble and not wanting to get involved with the ignorance that other people had was something that I was able to do.
Throughout your life, have has your daily life been affected at all by religion?
My religion does not really affect my daily life. I feel that uh, my philosophy in life is part of uh, the result of being Jewish, whereas I don't hold prejudices against other people for what they believe, uh, for what they do as far as traditions in their families. I accept everyone as an equal. Not to say that there aren't people I don't like and that I try to stay away from. Um, I being Jewish has allowed me an opportunity to excel in my life and be successful. I think that's a trait that's just part of my genealogy. Um, the sad part of life, of course, is that all of the brains and the genius in World War II, with the extermination of my people, has really set back the growth and the future of the world. There were many, many smart people and scientists alike, artists, people who could contribute so much to the world who were just eliminated. My being Jewish is just part of an inbred ability to live a good life and to try not to influence others in a negative way.
So that is the end of our interview. Is there anything you'd like to expand on?
I think I can just leave you with a gentle recap of what I said before: is don't do anything in your life that you think might end up on the front page of a newspaper. Follow your heart and not people who are trying to influence you negatively. You are your own boss.
Well, thank you so much.
And thank you.
Thank you.
That make any sense, guys?